What day is it today, Bob?
I'm not sure if it's 16 or 17. I think it's 16. Let's go with 16, and if I'm wrong you can all sort of tell us. You can come in and tell us. So, what's been going on? Well, it was quite a lumpy night. It was rock and roll. Wind was on the stern again, and quite difficult point of sailing for a wind vane. Quite a difficult point of sailing for anyone actually, but Wally the wind vane struggles with that. So you have to sail a little bit off the wind, so therefore you can't really quite get the course you want to get. Notwithstanding that, we came on average pretty much where we wanted to go. Seemed to be veering around a lot all over the place, yawing around. In the end I got a bit fed up with it and came upstairs and took down this canopy that we have here. I took it down so that I could see the sails properly. We don't have a Windex at the top of the mast, one of those little V things. It blew away in a storm. It actually broke off, so it's quite difficult in the dark to tell exactly where the wind's coming from and how your sails are doing, or how you should be sailing on the wind. But it's much easier if you don't have this canopy here. You put the deck lighting on, you can see the sails, and I found it actually quite easy then to come onto the course. Realised how much I've been struggling actually in the dark to be able to find the proper setting for the sails, proper trim for the sails. And once I'd done that, I was able to get Wally to perform much better. Then just after first light, the wind took a veer around to the northwest, which is what we were expecting, what had been forecast for us by the people we've been speaking to in the States. And we were able to take down the pole and start sailing a little bit more efficiently. And so right at the moment, even though the wind has fined away somewhat from what it was, it's we're making very good progress to the east, and we're happy to report that yesterday was our second best run of this trip. It was 137 nautical miles, so for us that's fantastic. Remember, for good steel-hulled ship Koru, 100 miles a day is a good planning average, so to do 137 is terrific. Don't think we'll go so far today, but because the wind's not as strong, got more sail up obviously, but we're very pleased with that. We've just come over the southern edge of the Newfoundland Basin. It's a very deep part of the Atlantic Ocean, and we're getting now towards the eastern side of that. And as you get towards the eastern side, the seabed builds up into what's called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and it's on the northernmost end of that, or getting towards the northernmost end of that, is where the Azores archipelago are. So just having a look at my little notes here. We have 475 nautical miles left to go from this position here. If we go in a straight line, chances are we won't. We'll zig and we'll zag and we'll zag and we'll zig a little bit. But 475 miles along the run line. So really pleased with all of that. It was a long night. At some point during the night, we had a visitor on board, a denizen of the deep, one of those creepy monsters that you hear people talk about, and it came on board while I was in the cockpit on my own, unexpectedly, gave me a bit of a fright. It was a massive great big squid of about 3 inches. This little baby squid, 3 inches long. And he flapped around a bit, and I was a bit too busy to flick him back over the side, and sadly he expired. I think he was searching for the long-lost ancestral homeland of calamari. Sadly he didn't find it, and we didn't help him in that. We didn't stick him in the frying pan and turn him into calamari. But he laid there. We took a few photographs of him this morning, so maybe you'll get to see some of those. Beautiful colours when you look at those photographs, and I hadn't noticed when he was lying there, but again, absolutely beautiful colours around his eyes. Turquoise, a very deep blue, a very bright blue, and a little bit of yellow in there, a little bit of gold. These creatures are very pretty. However, I was anticipating then the rest of the night a huge tentacle coming on board and grabbing me around the leg and dragging me over the side or something. What did you do with my little boy? So that was the only visitor we had during the night. Seen a couple of flying fish, saw one bird, is that correct?
Yeah. Just
seen one bird, and we haven't seen any other sign of wildlife. So probably because the ocean's a little loppy. I think we've come to realise that when the ocean's nice and calm, you see quite a lot, particularly if you've got your eyes open. But when it's loppy, it's probably still there, it's just that you don't see it. Becomes a little bit nondescript. So what else have I got to talk about? Mr. Bigglesworth sliding around all over the cabin soles. Very, very funny. Again, I took a bit of video of him, so maybe we can put that up there at some stage. He's decided that the most comfortable position for him is just to surrender to it all, lie on his side or on his back and slide around the cabin floor. Shoom, boom, boom. And I actually caught him in the middle of the night before last, kind of using his claws and going tick, 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 on his back, and kind of way having a sliding game of it. It's absolutely, utterly hilarious. Bless him. Right at the moment, he's actually found a nice little cubby hole to tuck himself up into, and I think the reason he hasn't done that so far is because it's been so hot. Well, now it's a little bit cooler. Nikki is there and she's got a little bit of a fleece on, so Mr. B has now found himself and wedged himself in somewhere that a couple of days ago would have been too hot for him. So I thought on this vlog we'd also talk very briefly about emergencies. Not man overboard or anything like that, but the direst emergencies. Say your boat is foundering or has foundered, you've lost it. What do? Well, clearly on this yacht, we, as most sailing yachts have, we have a life raft. In this case, a four-person life raft. We used to have a 6-man, but actually you never want to get one that's too big, because they're built on the understanding that they'll be loaded either with if you buy a 4-man, it's built on the understanding, it's designed on the understanding there's going to be 2 or 4 people on there, and you could overload it to 6, maybe it'll push 8. But you wouldn't want just 2 people in a 6-man life raft. I think the thing would forever be bowling over on you because it wouldn't have enough stability, it wouldn't have enough weight on board. So 4 is great for us. We don't have an HF radio on here, so we couldn't send a mayday. And a birdie just flew past as I said that. We couldn't send a mayday on that. We have a VHF, but that's only got a very limited range, 20 miles maybe. We do have an EPIRB, an emergency position indicating radio beacon, which automatically sends out an emergency signal with a GPS coordinate through satellites, which would go into the MRCC system, the Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre system, which is a global system. And they would start dealing with it, responding to it, alerting other shipping that there's someone in this geo coordinate that has a problem. We also carry a grab bag, and I thought I would just go through the contents of our grab bag. It's located or positioned just under the chart table, so that if the boat goes down quickly, we can grab the life raft out of the cockpit locker, which is just there, and the grab bag, which is also here, but is normally situated down below under the chart table. So I'm just going to open up the grab bag. This is a waterproof bag. It would float. It's got a bit of air in it, so it just float there on the surface if necessary. In here we keep those things that we deem as being absolutely essential should we go over the side, should we have to take to the life raft. No particular order, I'll just grab it out like Christmas something. So double waterproofed. Here we have, this is together with this, the most important things that are in this grab bag. This is our emergency position indicating radio beacon. It's an EPIRB. This one's made by a British company called Bermuda. Great little piece of kit. Very simple to operate. Open it and you pull the red ring in an emergency. Little antenna pops up and it starts emitting. And these things will go for about 24 hours. They'll go for about 24 hours, and it will tell the world exactly where you are. It won't tell you the nature of your emergency, but it will tell them where you are. Just underneath here, we have a test button. You can hold little button here, test it. That's great, and it's come up with a little green light on here, which says it's perfectly okay. In other words, it's functioning correctly. It's sent a test message or test signal, so that's fantastic. That's ours. Absolutely essential. It comes with us, and once we're in the life raft we would activate it. The reason I say this is essential is because I said we don't have any strategic communications on here. Well, actually we do. We have this little puppy. This is a satellite telephone. In this case it's an iridium satellite telephone. Very simple, it's just like an ordinary cell phone. When you use it, you cant it like, hold it in your right hand, you cant the antenna like that. Hold it in your left hand, you cant it like that. Works globally. It's the only satellite communication system that works globally, apart from those owned by military. The great commercial rival to this is a thing called Inmarsat, and I dare say some of you guys have probably got Inmarsat. Inmarsat is great, it's a tremendous piece of kit, it's kind of operated by the United Nations, it's internationally owned, it's out there by treaty, bunch of satellites up there, they're geostationary satellites. The only disadvantage with it, it's a great system, Inmarsat, the only disadvantage is that it doesn't work in high latitudes. So if you want to go up to northern Norway or Greenland or Iceland or further north to Spitsbergen, or you want to go down to Antarctica, it just simply doesn't work. Whereas this thing, which is iridium, it does. It works on low orbiting Earth satellites, 60 odd of them, and it will work absolutely anywhere in the world, including high latitudes and including on the oceans, and it works just like a cell phone, like most of these systems do now. So that's a great system. The other major rival that you'll hear is Thuraya. And Thuraya is a very robust system, it's even smaller than this. Geostationary satellites again, but it's more or less a spot system. There are only certain areas of the world that are covered, and it doesn't cover oceans, or very limited capacity in covering oceans. Other ones, Global Star, etc., they just don't have global coverage. It's either this or it's Inmarsat. In my view, this one is the better one because we intend going to high latitudes. What also is in here is I keep these charged as a spare battery for this. And this little thing here, a Garmin handheld GPS. So at least I will know where we are and I can send geo coordinates. Just so happens that there is actually a GPS in here. And so if you're speaking, I have primed in here a Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre in Falmouth, England. They will be able to tell from the telephone message that I'm sending, or any text that I send on here, indeed small emails you can send on here. The GPS coordinates are embedded in that data, so they can tell where you're calling from. So they're all in a nice Pelican case, a nice... We also carry a VHF radio, so if we see a ship passing we can at least try and hail them on channel 16. Because we wouldn't know their telephone number, would we? Ho ho ho. Carry a little bag here which has our passports in. Again, it's waterproofed. Our many and varied passports. We'll also carry this little thing in here. This is a mini solar panel. The solar panel is capable of charging both the satellite telephone and the GPS. It just has 3 little solar panels on there. Very simple. Costs about 150 bucks. Most sporting stores will sell that type of thing. What else do we have? This here, made by a company called MSR, is actually a water purifying system. Now it doesn't work on seawater, so this wouldn't work for us on the ocean. But if we were to be cast up somewhere, if we're in the South Pacific or something, we end up in a remote place, well, this can take river water and purify it. Again, about 110, 120 bucks in sporting goods stores. MSR is a very, very good brand, and it just works by pumping it and then adding a little chemical to it. If we abandon ship, we have water cans over there, 5-gallon water cans. We ensure that one of those is kept full. The other 2 are just spares to help us along our way, but one of them is kept full. It's the one closest to the camera. We have a knife handy so that we can just cut it free, and it will float anyway because it's fresh water is less dense than seawater, but there is an air gap of about 6 inches at the top, so that would have to come into the life raft with us. That's our supply. What else do we carry? I carry a set of global charts, so if I have a GPS, at least I can tell where the hell I am, where we're plotting, if we're drifting anywhere useful on the charts. Quite useful, you get them from the Admiralty. Cheap. 2 space blankets, because unbelievably, even in warm latitudes, most people die that take to the water or take to life rafts. Most people die through hypothermia, even in these kinds of latitudes. Just a spare strobe light as a supplement to the one that's on fixed to the life raft. A pair of mini binoculars so that we can keep a sporting watch out, and a basic compass, just a handheld compass, so we can tell which direction is which, because the battery will run out on the GPS, of course. If we take any cans with us, or food with us, a little lid which will fit on most cans, little plastic lid. We're almost done now. Long lecture. Plastic spoon. Knife, actually one of those magic multi-tool gadget things. A couple of flares to attract attention. There are a couple in the life raft anyway, but we have an extra couple there. Some more water purifying tablet. The last thing in here, which most people won't carry, is a heliograph mirror. Again, a very cheap item of equipment, maybe 10 US dollars, 6 or 7 British pounds, whatever, euros, I don't know, 7 euros, 9 euros, whatever. This I know from experience, that this here, reflecting sun towards, for instance, an aircraft or another ship, can be, if the visible horizon is only about 5 miles from water level, this will be seen right out to the horizon. Very easy to operate, and this particular one even has instructions on the back of it as to how to operate it effectively. An aircraft will pick this up at 30, 40, 50, even 60 miles away. It will just absolutely blindingly shine out from the surface of the ocean. Probably one of the most valuable things to search and rescue that you can have on a boat, a heliograph mirror. The final thing that Nikki and I will take into a life raft with us, not that we ever planned to do this, honestly wifey, we're not planning to do this, is the will to survive. I'm a survival instructor to some degree, used to be in the military anyway, and the fundamental principle of survival in any scenario is the will to live. It's the will to survive. Human beings are very good at just giving up and saying, just accepting it and going with it, but human beings are also very tenacious and clinging to life. And you have to make a conscious decision in difficult circumstances which of those two categories you fall into. Are you a little chicken? Are you a little drift away, just let it all go? Or are you going to be a tiger? Are you going to actually cling on in there and give it every last ounce of energy and every last ounce of commitment? Because with the EPIRB out there, and hopefully you've made a couple of phone calls as well to an MRCC, people will be looking for you. Lecture over. I don't mean to sound like a granddad. Anyhow, I thought that might be of some interest to some people. So here we are, day 16, I think, on the on the Atlantic Ocean. Probably about 5 or 6 days to go, maybe less than that, who knows. Thanks for listening. See you later.